This week on Full Credit to the Noise, Darwin Heat claims some victims, Anton shuts Scaife up, and Waters wins the crown. Welcome to Full Credit to the Noise. Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Full Credit to the Noise. You can find this podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at FCTTN Podcast. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Facebook at Former_Legend. Jeez, it's lonely over at Blue Sky AVL. You can find the bloke across me on Twitter at AVL_Motorsport. He's on AVL at Instagram at AVL.Motorsport. He's a man who this week hugged a crocodile, wore a crocodile, and then ate a crocodile. He has demanded the New South Wales State of Origin team and the Socceroos be swapped for their next games. And tonight, he's wearing a T-Birds leather jacket. Welcome to Speed Cafe's Andrew Van Leeuwen.
Hello, Former. I'm definitely not wearing a jacket. I'm still in Darwin. I'm actually in sort of semi-holidays mode today. So still at the Airbnb in Darwin. Apologies if there's any background noise. And at any moment, several fighter jets could fly over the top of the house and rattle the windows here, which will be probably pretty easy to pick up as well because that's just been happening. Do people here just live with that? With fighter jets flying over all the time?
I heard your podcast on Friday night. I thought it was a brave decision to record a podcast at the end of a runway, but...
I swear to God, I woke up this morning. It sounded like one of them had taxied into the street we live in and taken off from there. It was like the windows were rattling. It was... It's just been going on all day. But we did have a nice little escape out to Berry Springs today for a bit of a swim. So we're sort of in, like I say, I'm in sort of semi-holiday mode. I got a little drink on the go here, and it's quite nice. But yeah, it was good out at the Springs. Saw the Tickford crew were out there. Tommy Randall was out having a little dip in the Springs, doing a bit of recovery before he heads back after what was obviously a pretty tough weekend for him. So it's pretty like fighter jets aside, it's pretty nice up here, to be honest.
Well, other than your exciting weekend, my highlight from the weekend was, I don't know if you've seen this, 86-year-old Lorraine Tuckett, better known as Nan, and her birthday, she just wanted to, for her 86, she just wanted to smash some tyres at a local burnout track. You haven't seen it. It's been on the news everywhere and on social media. And on Saturday, she got a wish for the 6th year in a row. Friends and family travelled to Leeton for Nan's birthday bash, a big burnout competition where they turn rubber into rubber confetti. Tyre into rubber confetti, I should say. Right. She said her grandson, Guy, taught her, but she's even beat him in competition a couple of times. And then there was video of Nan's birthday burnout which returned more than 1 million views on Saturday and attracted the attention of car enthusiasts. I'm just going to finish this story by saying I'm not adverse to an older lady. And
yeah, right.
Nan is ticking some boxes, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, she did better than Anton Pasquale on Sunday because he got given permission from his team to destroy his rear tyres and gently rolled around back into pit lane. Didn't do a burnout.
Why?
Well, he didn't really give a great explanation. I think because of the way the race finished under safety car, there was kind of other cars around him and that sort of stuff. But he just didn't do a burnout.
All right.
Pretty disappointing. Maybe we need to get Nan in the seat next time to show him how it's done.
It was quite the weekend up there, mate. On Friday, Brody got pole, and then Cam Waters broke almost, a year and a half, 18 months dry spell.
46 races or something like that.
Yep. And then on Saturday, he got a pole, which was also a rarity in recent times. Mm-hmm. But Kai Allen got a win on good driving and good strategy, and an excellent outcome for those guys. And then on Sunday, Cam got another pole, and Anton got another win for Chev for the year, the second one for the year. A few surprises in all of that. What's the biggest surprise?
Out of all of that?
Yep.
I think Tickford's turnaround's up there, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's and the fact that Cam was so consistently fast across the weekend when they have had such a tough run. So, it was kind of one of those things where we really felt like Ford was going to break its winless streak at Hidden Valley in the Gen 3 era this weekend. That made sense given the form of some of those teams, but you probably wouldn't have had Cam at the top of your list as the driver to go and do that in that Friday race. So I think that was the real standout performance. Obviously, great win for Anton as well, an important win supercars and for GM and for Team 18. But like I mean, we spoke about it last week. You know, there were some signs, or it was easy to kind of predict that they would have a good weekend because they do go well. Team 18 in Darwin, we know the Chev package can work there. So yeah, that was not as surprising probably as Cam really just firing back into form in a pretty serious way.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Like in this, it's a funny thing because we think about how bad they've kind of been going, but Cam's still always been in that like top 4 mix in the championship. And suddenly you look at it and go, man, if they can turn that speed on, like he's right in the mix for a title under this finals format. But even without it, he's not miles off. Like it's been a really weird year for those guys, a bit like last year, to be honest. But yeah, to see him at the front, you know, racing so well on both tyre compounds, that was pretty impressive.
Well, after every round we do the same thing, and it's Champagne and Shies and AVL, and we'll start with the Champagne from Darwin. And as you said, it was Cam Waters and Tickford. It's been a long time between the Waters whiskies, but he finally got a win as well as 2 pole positions and the Triple Crown, let's not forget. Not sure where the pace has been, and I don't even know that they do, although a brand new chassis seemingly hasn't hurt. But holy dooly, he's back. Yeah. And like you say, he's in the pointy end for the title. You'd have to imagine if short-term form is anything to go by. Mm-hmm. My second Champagne of the weekend is Todd Hazelwood and Mark Winterbottom. I mean, one bloke went up there to drive a pie truck. The other one went up there to hold a microphone, and both ended up racing supercars on Sunday. And while the results weren't groundbreaking, well done to both those guys for filling in, keeping it tidy, bringing it home in one piece, and battling a little bit of adversity with seat fittings and things like that. And let's not forget, Todd actually beat his teammate home, which was quite the outcome.
Absolutely.
My next one's the liveries, AVL. I know we get to do this to death, and I've heard whingers say that, you know, it's virtue signalling and everything else, but just well done to the entire team for the Indigenous-inspired liveries from the weekend. Every car looked absolutely mint, in my opinion. Obviously, not you, Cam Hill. Remember when it was non-uniform day at school, AVL, and there was always that one kid that would forget and still wear his uniform?
Yes.
Well, that was Cam Hill on the weekend for some reason. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And my final Champagne for the weekend goes to Trans Am, who did more racing laps on Friday's race than the entire event this time last year.
Yeah, true.
So that's a win. But the racing was mega on the weekend, and up front, that field is dead set the sharpest field in the country outside of supercars, I reckon. The racing's great viewing, so once again, well done to those guys. They turned on some good racing. But for every Champagne, there's a Shizen, and we'll start with, look, feel free to push your chair back from the table and separate yourself from what I'm about to say, AVL, because this is about the TV coverage. Now, we are now past the halfway point of the season. Thanks, Larko, for that. And the TV product is really bad. It's very problematic. Here are some of the problems identified by our Discord members from the weekend just gone. And I'll say them in no particular order, although I think the first couple are from Friday. There was the timing stopped during qualifying on Friday, and then they put a screenshot up from someone's phone to show us the qualifying order. The car mic audio is absolutely atrocious. They left the sound on during one of the replays of people talking in the background. The drone has a microphone on it for some reason, and the sound of the drone was actually annoying. From all my experience, drones don't have microphones, and it makes me think that has actually been added in as some sort of sound effect, which I don't get, because drone manufacturers right now are trying to make their drones as quiet as possible, which I don't know. There were poorly timed replays. We weren't watching the battle for the lead in some races. They missed the pass between Kai and Waters, and the onboard audio quality was really bad across all classes, which extends the radios between the engineers and the drivers as well. The director inexplicably cut to a ridiculous camera angles at odd times that add absolutely nothing to the production. These are all things that people have highlighted in the Discord, by the way. Someone pulled the plug, and we got rainbow bars and a snowman skiing across the screen at one point. The dynamic range in the in-car cameras is putrid. It's like being filmed on a GoPro 3. Larko said, for all you people out there who like your GM versus Ford battle, there's nothing between the speed of these two cars as he compared two Ford cars' speed traces. I remind you, AVL, we were one of the few places who said that we would allow a bit of a betting in period for the new Bob that have taken over at the start of the year, but that period is long gone. I spoke to someone who knows exactly what they're talking about when it comes to the broadcasting, and they had a few interesting things to say from this morning. They said, he/she said, from an industry perspective, supercars used to be seen as an elite crew. To be asked to join supercars was like being asked to join a special task force, and everyone cleared their calendars. Those days are long gone. The media arm of the sport is broken. Rather than gutting the production department and starting again, they replaced the facilitator without enough lead-in time for NEP to be ready. And by the way, guys, can we please update that fake crowd noise you used? That sound file that you used from Phillip Island in 2014 could probably do with a freshen up. Your thoughts, AVL?
I'm not sure there was ever a crowd at Phillip Island in 2014 to have been recorded. That was probably the wrong circuit to use for your gag there. But yeah, obviously, like that, I really don't understand why there's a rainbow bar with a thrusting skiing snowman on it in the first place in any sort of back end system for this thing. That one was really bizarre. So. We kind of feel like we've moved on a little bit from the graphics issues in general, and then we have things like that. So, look, I haven't had the opportunity to sort of investigate how or why that happened, whether it is to do with this this move to the hub format in Sydney. Obviously, the majority of the production team stayed in Sydney and didn't travel to Darwin, and the plan is to do that for all rounds except Perth and Bathurst for the remainder of the season. So, but I do agree that, you know, I think we were pretty fair at the start of the season in terms of saying, well, this is a pretty big change, and let's give it time to kind of settle in. But yeah, we're recording this on the 22nd of June. Like you say, we're halfway through the season. It does need to get better. And I would definitely hope and fully expect that that's not something that would come as any sort of shock to Nathan Prendergast and his team. Right? Like, surely they get that this is not the level they need to be at. And you would just really hope there's some pretty swift action on getting on top of these things. But yeah, the fact that we're this far into the year and still having issues like this is definitely not ideal. No.
We'll end that there for the time being. The next Shizen for the weekend was just the heat stress, AVL. You got to feel for Brody Kostecki. Look, I know he was ill, but his drink bottle wasn't working properly. And Thomas Randall, and they were both victims of faulty equipment. Thomas had a cool suit failure, led to them being slowly broiled in their cars on Saturday. It's an unfortunate truth that the series has never 100% nailed things like cool suits, water bottles, and ventilation in cars. For those playing at home, it was 32 degrees during the race on Saturday, and the temperature dropped to 22 overnight. But let's not have a night race, AVL, because journos can't get on the cans, and some pubs might not make coin from piss-wreck supercar fans. In the race of life, back the horse named Self-Interest, AVL. You know it's trying. What you say about a night race now?
I stand 100% by my thoughts on a night race. I still do not think it's a good idea at all.
Step me through it again, because there's a couple of points I just can't go with. Go on.
So, firstly, and this is something this is not criticism of supercars at all. This is something that's been driven by the NT government. But firstly, I think the postcard is the blue skies and the red dirt and all that sort of stuff that you just will not be able to see at night.
The sunsets, AVL. The sunsets.
Yeah, but you can kind of get that with it. Well, you don't get a sunset for a night race, right? That's the whole point.
Well, but it would be afternoon/night.
The twilight race would be on the Saturday, but I just think that you miss out on brilliant, like that. The drone noise might have been annoying, but the view from the drone cam back towards the city was spectacular.
Yeah, and you just don't have that. Great at a sunset, I reckon. Around,
yeah, but it won't. But otherwise, you're just looking at illuminated tarmac. That's all you're going to see. And the last time they tried to do this, it was the hospitality industry that pushed back and said, hang on a minute, we don't want people at the racetrack at night. We want them in our pubs and bars and restaurants, and not just the punters, but, you know, people working for teams and people working in the industry. So
you know the easiest job in the world?
What's that?
Beer selling in Darwin. It's not tricky.
Yeah, but
Open your joint up, sell beer. It's pretty much the 2 steps you need to know.
yeah, but I'm pretty sure they do enjoy an upswing in patronage over the supercars weekend, right? So, and you're still narrowing down, even in the twilight race, you're narrowing down the window in which people can contribute to the local economy through the hospitality industry. So I still think it's a bad idea. The heat thing is obviously an issue. I still cannot fathom why we tightened up the rules around driver welfare in heat and then could have a situation like Tommy Randall found himself in on the Saturday there. Like, that makes no sense to me, because obviously either the threshold is too high or whatever, but it didn't protect him.
No.
You know, and you can't expect drivers to stop racing, you know, like they're going to keep going. And yes, you could mount an argument, should the team have pulled him in, but they were sort of pretty across the fact that they'd been monitoring his lap times, talking to him on the radio, making sure he was making sense and that they felt he was capable of driving the car. And that was the case till the end. And it was kind of after, when, you know, the adrenaline wears off and you get out of the car, that the exhaustion really set in. And to Tickford's credit, even before Tommy had been ruled out of Sunday's race by the Supercars medical delegate, Dr. Carl, the team had already gone, there's no way we're putting this guy in the car. And they were already down the path of talking to Supercars and Motorsport Australia about what they were going to do as a replacement. So I do give Tickford props for that. But yeah, I don't like, probably a starting point is the fact that, you know, we do have an almost fully homologated category. Well, it is a fully homologated category where you really have very little freedom to do much, but cooling systems is one of the things that you do have freedom with. So maybe they need to move to a standardized system, something that can be well tested, something that works, or do they need to insulate the cabins better so that an aircon system can come into play, like in GT3 racing? Because at the moment, the theory in supercars is that the aircon thing won't work because the cars aren't really designed to have aircon. These Gen 3 cars were meant to be, and there's data that suggests they're a little bit cooler than the Gen 2 cars, but we just seem to be seeing more of these issues and more of these failures. So we've seen issues with the chill out system, which is the electronic system that like Triple Eight uses. They've had some issues, but in the case of Tommy Randall, that was a dry ice problem. So yeah, I don't fully know what the answer is in terms of a solution, but I don't see the point in having a rule that allows what happened to Tommy on that Saturday happen. Like how much hotter does it have to be? Like, it was
really good question, mate.
It didn't protect him in that moment. So no. You know, and I'm sure, you know, he's probably pretty happy he got to do that race, given the fact he then missed the other one. But you know, it would have just swung the other way around. He would have been forced out of the Saturday race, but then be good to go on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, you know, it wasn't really a loss or gain in terms of points and that sort of stuff. So, the Brody situation is different. Like, the drink bottle thing isn't something the team really feels contributed to it. Like, they were pretty confident that Brody was going to be secondhand at the end of that race regardless, just because of the illness he's been carrying for around a week from what Todd Hazelwood said and a few other people have said. So that really was the issue there. Brody's kind of got the freedom in terms of his points position to sit that race out, because again, in this finals format, it's not, you know, as long as he's in the 10, that's all he really needs to worry about. And you can't imagine a scenario where he's not. Whereas for Tommy, that was a hard hit. And we were just talking about this today as we were bobbing around Berry Springs. Like, he's kind of on that, you know, he needs to get into the 10, and he's just lost the opportunity to bank a bunch of points. So it really hurt for him. And he was pretty down today. And I think that's, I think he feels like he's let the team down, even though obviously there was nothing he could do about it. You know, it was a car failure. And obviously, like I say, if you had stricter rules, then he doesn't race and he misses the points anyway, but then he wouldn't have gone through that ordeal, because I spoke to him on Saturday night and he was not well. Like, that was a lot.
Mate, I know he might be disappointed, but nothing is important as being healthy. And mate, he could have gone out and passed out at the wheel or something horrendous like that, and then what happens? You know what I mean? Like,
well, even he did the exact right thing after qualifying by flagging with the team, hey,
I'm not good.
Something's not good here, and I need to go see the doctor again. So, It was a very interesting situation, but again, I just can't get my head around the fact that we came into this weekend with
new rules,
with a crackdown on this, and we had 2 drivers miss a race.
Yeah,
you know, having gone through the heat exhaustion already, not miss the race because the rules stopped them from racing, miss the race because the rules didn't protect them.
Yeah. My next Shizen, and I feel sorry for Erebus Motorsport right now. They got whacked with 4 penalties following a spate of infringements on Saturday, just on Saturday alone. They finished 18th and 23rd, only ahead of Ryan Wood. Those results have became 22nd and 23rd following the addition of 22 seconds to both their drivers' times. As part of leaving the tyres out in the sun thing. Now, before you say this was cheating, which is, we know you can't leave the tyres out in the sun, they're in the shade, but then the sun obviously moves and the shade moves and it became sunshine. Was it clever? Maybe, but they ran 22nd and 23rd. It's not, that hasn't got them to the lead, has it? So I get the crackdown, but it just seems recalcitrant given that where they finished. That wasn't the only time they got belted on the weekend. They also got docked 30 teams championship points after Stewart departed his pit box during the race with a wheel gun still attached. And then rounding out the rap sheet is an additional 5-second penalty to Cameron Murray for failing to leave racing room in a battle with Rylan Gray.
Cameron Murray.
Sorry, Cooper Murray. I do that all the time, Cooper and Cameron. Sorry about that. But yeah, like, they're just getting bashed up at the moment. They're running 2 young blokes. I just would love, and it's like, yeah. Anyway, I feel bad for them. So it was a Shizen weekend for them.
Yeah, I don't know much about the tyre thing, to be honest, but they do have tyre tents where the tyres are meant to be.
Yeah,
and you can't run into it suddenly got sunny inside the tyre tent scenario. So I don't fully understand what happened there, but you know, and as the report says, it wasn't deliberate, but you know, there is they have tyre tents, and that's where the tyres are meant to be.
For my final Shizen, and it's not their usual Darwin round, but Triple Eight had one they probably wouldn't mind forgetting. Feeney was off the pace on Friday and Saturday. Will Brown wasn't much chop either. I reckon their weekend was summed up on Sunday's race, though, AVL. The team asked Brock Feeney to let Will Brown through for 4th place during the final stint for Brown to go and have a crack at Cam Waters for the final podium spot. If he didn't get it, then he was going to give it back to Brock. Unfortunately, Chaz Mostert's engine went kaput, and then that meant the whole entire race finished under safety car, so Feeney didn't even get his spot back. So it was just a bad weekend, although I'm not sure the questioning of Jamie Whincup on Sunday morning where they said, how's the morale of the team? I don't think it'd be too bad. It's Triple Eight, for God's sake. They're going okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of teams that would take that bad weekend and be pretty happy with it. Definitely not what we expect from Triple Eight in Darwin, so I totally get your point. But yeah, a Triple Eight disaster would still be readily accepted by others out there. So, but yeah, it was interesting. It was always going to be a pretty interesting test, like Tassie was of you know where these guys are at with this Ford product and how on top of it they are, because these are Triple Eight strongholds, these circuits, and that just wasn't the case. Like, it was by no means the fastest team. They were not the fastest cars, and they kind of battled through and banked some good points, and it was damage limitation, basically. But, you know, Brock Feeney's now only just ahead of Matt Payne in the driver's standings. Grove Racing are ahead in the team standings, and we'll have the pit exit garage for Townsville. So, I think there will be, given the high standards that Triple Eight sets, there will be some pretty robust soul searching going on in the next week and a half before we go to Townsville.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the shift cut, because there's other news other than what happened in Darwin.
4, 3, 1.
We'll start with this news that the bleeding from Victoria Motorsport hasn't stopped, with the FIM Superbike World Championship announcing they're going to be heading to the Bend from Phillip Island from 2028 on a multi-year deal. It's another blow. Obviously, MotoGP has now left for Adelaide as well. Phillip Island has staged the most World Superbike races of any track in the Championship's history, with 76 races, putting it just ahead of Assen on 74 after this year's April visit. Australia's hosted the World Championship 37 times, beginning at Oran Park in 1988 before moving permanently to Phillip Island in 1990. I mean, Peter Malinauskas woke up and chose violence against Victoria is all I can put it down to.
Yeah, I think this was probably more of a Shaheen-led sort of thing, and it feels like it was partly packaged into the whole brokering the whole MotoGP deal and
Right.
Sam Shaheen's sort of part in that. So this was a very obvious outcome from all of that sort of stuff. You know, I do feel sorry for the guys at the Bend sometimes because, like, again, they build this amazing facility that everyone says it's in the middle of nowhere and it's too windy and it's boring. They spend tens or hundreds of millions of dollars on this thing, and then they've gone and done what people with a facility like that do and lure a massive event, and then just got absolutely torn up because people are sad it's leaving Phillip Island, which is a completely understandable position as well, because Phillip Island is one of the greatest motorcycle racing circuits on the face of the planet, and it now doesn't have any world championship events left as of the end of this year. So, it's an interesting thing, but it's just very hard to do something like that and not get the rusted on fans offside, because there's so much more goes into funding these events and all that sort of stuff. But on the surface, any bike racing not happening at Phillip Island is just going to be seen by the fan base as a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree. Even a couple of motorbike riders I was speaking to on the weekend said that even spectators, that is, they're going to miss just that trip down to Victoria from New South Wales.
Yeah.
Because it's just an epic ride of 2 or 3 days, depending on how hard you go, of some cracking motorbike roads. But I guess the Great Ocean Road's not a bad little trip either on a motorbike, you'd imagine, if you want to go that way. So it's not all lost. Standout Supercars rookie Jaden Ojeda is already locked in for a second season at Premier Racing, according to Roland Dane. He confirmed that the 26-year-old joined the team this season on a 2-year deal. The 25-year-old is understood to be on a 1+1 contract, with the team holding an option for his services for 27. Roland said, "Someone as good as Jaden, for sure other people will be looking at him, but ultimately I hope he stays with Premier. He's certainly committed for next year." He certainly showed a turn of speed in the last sort of 2 rounds, AVL. And yes, I believe other teams would definitely be looking at him if they knew he was available.
Yeah, he's starting to hit his straps in his rookie season, which is awesome. This is one of those things that it's not necessarily like nothing's changed for this to be the case. It was just seeking clarification over what his arrangement is. So it's good for him to have that security, and it's good for Premier to have such a promising talent on its books, given the fact that, you know, with Roland Dane at the helm, there's big ambitions going on there. So, it's a good thing for all concerned.
Speaking of things that haven't changed, but it's still news, Matt Payne is committed to Grove Racing for the 27 Supercar season, ending speculation of an early move to Team 18. The Kiwi issued a statement confirming he'll see out his contract with the Ford squad that runs through until the end of the season. He said, and I quote, "I have a contract with Grove Racing and I expect to be driving with the team to the end of 27. For now, my priority is winning races, competing for the championship, and delivering the best possible results for Grove Racing, our sponsors, and everyone who supports us." It's like when my dad said he was going to stay for the sake of the kids.
This was kind of it's the sensible outcome to this whole thing, and there is a few little, I don't know, there's a bit of weirdness in the wording with that, like I expect to be driving and that sort of stuff. But from what we can sort of ascertain over the weekend, this is a genuine statement of intent to see out that contract. As we sit here right now, I still fully expect that he will leave the team at the end of the 2027 season. But I guess when your second best option is to stay at the team with the fastest race cars in the category at the moment, like, life's pretty good.
Yeah. In the category of just because you can doesn't mean you should, Supercars has set its sights on hosting NASCAR action on Australian soil but it won't happen this year. Speed Cafe has revealed that Supercars investigated the viability of including a NASCAR demonstration as part of the Gold Coast 500. The plan was first hatched ahead of the 25 event before a renewed effort to secure the coup this year. Supercars strategic advisor Shane Howard and strategy growth officer Mark Pejic recently met with NASCAR officials and teams in the United States. They'd hoped to secure a demo for the Gold Coast 500, initially targeting 6 cars with the hope of growing to 12 cars the following year, spread evenly between manufacturers. Why?
Well, it'd be pretty cool. It would be a pretty cool thing to do, but obviously it's not happening. It's not happening this year in any way, shape or form. And it does feel like from some of the chats we were having over the weekend that the focus has now moved to doing something like this in Adelaide because it's just so much easier to facilitate there because it's out of the NASCAR season.
Right.
And it's just easier to do. So I reckon it's something. We know how ambitious and open-minded the SA Motorsport Board is. So I reckon it's something they would definitely have their hands up to do. So yeah, it just becomes a watch this space for the future, but it's not something for this year, unfortunately, because it'd be pretty cool.
I don't know, man. I feel like it's like when they took those cars over to Malaysia, was it? That, it was just, I get it, but it just didn't feel like it was anything. It was just an exhibition. Kiwis and Aussies overseas. In the IndyCar, qualifying for the Road America race saw Mr. Underrated Marcus Armstrong qualify third. Scotty McLaughlin was 6th. Will Power 11th. Scotty Dixon was 12th. In the race won by Christian Lundgaard, Marcus Armstrong was looking like a winner with 10 to go before his car launched itself. Power ran 5th, McLaughlin 7th, and the Ciderman, Scott Dixon, ran 12th. Did you see any of this? Absolutely none. You've got to see some of it, man. Mate, it's great racing this year. It's honestly, it's as good as anything around there at the moment. It's unfortunate behind 2 paywalls and it's at 4 a.m. But other than that, it's very watchable. Yeah. NASCAR, Shane Van Gisbergen put it on pole for the street race around the naval base in San Diego in the Department of War None from One 300. In the race, SVG was a victim of Austin Hill's lack of ability to drive a car, taken out when Hill began a 6-car pileup on the race restart. Meanwhile, I don't know if you saw this, in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race on Saturday, there was carnage and chaos. The race lasted less than a lap before the caution was thrown when a manhole cover lodged itself in the front splitter of Corey Day's Hendrick Motorsports Chev. After several laps under the control of the safety car, racing was stopped to inspect the circuit and make repairs. How's this? But remarkably, when Day returned to the race, he came upon a tow truck going the opposite direction. And this happened again today in the race where they were sending tow trucks in the opposite race direction on the track while it was still hot. He said, please let me know if there are any more safety trucks driving backwards on the track that I should know about. Then Sam Mayer triggered a pile-up on lap 35 when he clipped the inside wall. 19 cars were involved in that, and they had to red flag the race again. That was some race.
Yep, absolutely. I don't know if you also saw, there was a bloke who scaled 2 fences and went and gave one of the drivers a fist bump during a stoppage at one point, which was an absolutely wild thing to do at any racetrack, let alone one on an active military base.
Yeah, very Darwin thing to do in San Diego.
He was wearing thongs too, so yeah, just absolutely crazy.
Speaking of crazy, have you seen this in the MotoGP on the sprint race on Saturday? World Championship leader Marco Bezzecchi was banned from taking place in the Grand Prix the next day in an astonishing ruling after the sprint race. After crashing out from 5th place, Bezzecchi was furious with vision showing him run towards a marshal who was helping to recover his bike before striking him twice in the face. This is an action prejudicial to the interests of the sport and is therefore an infringement. Any corrupt or fraudulent act or any action prejudicial to the interests of the meeting or the sport carried out by a person and the group of persons occurring during an event will see them not race. Bezzecchi went then, after this, and went and found the marshal that he punched in the face. He gave him a cuddle to fix it all. And then, as our colleague Simon Chapman highlighted, ironically gave him the glove that he belted him with as a gift. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's what you want to be doing.
Just an unbelievable thing top to bottom.
Oh, there's a bit of my chin you can see if you have a look closer to that.
Yeah, you can pluck the tooth that you lost out of the leather.
What goes through a bloke's head to punch a marshal in the face for picking up your bike?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ducati's Francesco Bagnaia took his first sprint race win on the Saturday. In the Grand Prix, Marc Marquez fended off Ai Agura to claim victory in the Czech Grand Prix in a race that championship leader Marco Bezzecchi was sitting out because he got all punch happy. The reigning champion scored back-to-back Grand Prix wins now to bring his points deficit to Bezzecchi down to just 40 points, having been 102 points away from the Italian Grand Prix last month. Don't forget, Marquez sat out a race or two while he was getting double surgery. He's now fourth in the championships. He's not, ninth place, Jorge Martin in the race now closes up to Bezzecchi to 8 points. So really now there's 4 riders in a hunt for the championship, including Marquez, who's had double surgery on his back and his leg.
Yep, wild.
Incredible. Moto 2, Senna Agius qualified 5th. He finished 4th, which was a good outcome. Moto 3, Joel Kelso qualified 9th and finished 8th in a big weekend. Normally we'd put a super cheap ad here. We'll do it next week because it's just been a massive weekend, and we'll do that after the break.
Full credit to the noise.
Yeah, welcome back to Forward Headline from the past weekend. I'll give you a topic, AVL. You tell me what the forward headline is attached to them. And we'll start with Brody Kostecki. What's your forward headline?
I touched on this a bit before, but I'll go with finals a win for driver welfare, because I do really think in this case that format gave Brody the freedom to put his health first. You know, he's in a healthy situation points-wise. He can afford to drop the points that he would have scored in that race, and I really do wonder if under the old system, if he was in a title contending position, whether he would have felt a much stricter obligation to race.
My forward headline was Hazelwood stopped eating pies, because all of a sudden he's enjoying the sponsor's product and then he gets thrown into a supercar. So, what about Mark Winterbottom, speaking of replacements?
Pretty fast for an old bloke, because he was flying at parts of that race, like going really well. And I guess that just shows how important experience is, and obviously incredible natural talent. But if it hadn't, it would have been really interesting to see where he would have finished had he not had that issue in the pits there where he stalled and couldn't get the car restarted, which is one of those kind of, I guess, out of practice things, you know, when you're not doing a whole bunch of racing and you haven't had the benefit of the sort of limited but still the testing that you get when you go into the enduros. So I think he'd be pretty annoyed at himself for how that played out. But I would have loved to have seen where he'd actually finished had that not happened.
Yeah, I just wrote, I couldn't stop smiling, because he just took it in the humour. Even before the race, he was having a laugh at what was about to happen. And then he was actually saying, I hope I haven't gone too hard on some of these blokes during this weekend up to this race. Otherwise it's going to be bad news for me. So it was just good. It was good to see. What's your forward headline for Cam Waters?
The forgotten title contender. Because again, as we talked about at the top of the show, you suddenly go, oh, that's right. This guy could actually win the title.
Yeah. Mine is Waters breaks drought, because I reckon he would have had a few of his own product at the end of it. And to break a drought like that for Tickford and himself, of course, was a good outcome. And I reckon it should have been celebrated hard, although I think he got the red eye yesterday, which was
a lot of them
shame.
did. Yep.
What about Ryland Gray?
Got to beat the part-timer. He just had to be ahead of Todd yesterday.
Yep.
I think, on Sunday, I should say. I think he just had to be ahead of Todd. I think that'll be a bit of a disappointing outcome for young Ryland. No, it's his rookie season, but you would hope that the match fitness of being full-time in the championship should put you ahead of someone who's coming in, having raced over the weekend in the Trans Am, but not racing for supercars full-time, having compromises in terms of just how to, do the job. That's it wasn't a great look for Ryland, and that's just the pure, honest take on the situation.
Yeah, that's my headline too. Not the best look. I don't know. Maybe Mark Winterbottom didn't go as well because he didn't get to the track to town like Hazelwood did, and that might be the secret moving forward. So, what about Matty Payne? What's your forward headline?
He's always there. He's just always there scoring points this year. Like he's having an impressive season.
I got the best number 2 because maybe Kai is now the number 1. I don't know. Zach Bates?
More yo-yo action than a 2026 F1 race. A real up and down weekend for Zach. He's so fast and he's so capable, but it's just up and down, inconsistent. It's really hard to tell in that environment, whether that's a driver issue or a team issue. Probably given the fact he's a rookie, you would expect it would be a driver issue in some cases. Obviously, Jack LeBrock had a pretty good weekend speed-wise, but he's just bouncing around a bit, Zach.
I've got him as really good at qualifying. We just haven't got that racing at the moment. I'm sure it'll come because the speed is definitely there. What about your headline for Supercars TV?
Dancing Snowman, new Gold Logie favourite.
My forward headline, you can't print any of the words except bad. So something bad. So finally, the most contentious issue of the weekend. What's your forward headline for night racing in Darwin?
Buy stocks in Bushman's insect repellent. Because it's going to be an absolute mosquito and midgie fest out there. I can tell you that right now. It's bad enough during the day.
Mine is don't listen to drunk journos. Do it. Put it on. Don't worry about blokes who need to go to the pub. They can go to the pub anyway. Watch it from the pub for a week, yeah? Do what you got to do.
It's tempting sometimes.
I seen you doing the Sydney race from the Eastern Creek Tavern once. So
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
I was in the pokies room. I wasn't watching the race.
Got the pyramids. Yeah, beauty. All right, we'll go to a break and we'll come back with Rear of Grid.
Full credit to the noise.
Yeah, welcome back to Rear of Grid. I tell you where was busy over the weekend. Thank Christ there wasn't Formula One on because my fingers couldn't keep up with the typing that was happening in that Discord.
Yeah, fun Discord weekend, actually.
Good Discord.
Really fun weekend. And I felt like there was more people than ever in the Darwin Triple Crown channel. Like, that was just going all day. So, it was a really fun weekend on the Discord.
And my spies tell me there's a sneaky person in there with good contacts, just put it that way.
Yeah.
I
think I know who you're talking about.
Yes.
I think I know who you're talking about. It's shenanigans.
Yeah, he's got contacts, all right.
Yep.
Usually, no, I won't say that. All right, we'll do credit or shred it. I'll make a statement. You just tell me whether you agree or disagree with a credit or a shred it. We'll come back after we've done all six. Number one.
Yep.
Swerving left and right to warm your tyres after you leave pits should be banned and made illegal in all motorsport.
Shred it.
No, credit. Number two, somehow the TV coverage needs to use both Richard Crail and Matt Nolte for each round. That's from Tobes in our Discord.
Credit.
Credit if they can. Number three, Anton de Pasquale is an A-grade driver. Credit. Number four, supercars should have green and white checkers a la NASCAR. Credit. Number five, from Cheerdog, Groves should relax with the pain retention work and put the effort into making sure Allen is still with them in 2034.
Credit.
Number six, that was five, by the way. Number six, Mark Scaife should take credit for motivating Team 18 to win on the weekend by attacking them on Motorsport 180 a couple of weeks ago.
Credit. Sure.
Credit. All right, we'll go back. Swerving left and right. I've seen this in Formula One, I've seen it in Indy, and I've seen it in supercars, and for the life of me, I don't think it should be allowed. First of all, isn't it proven that it doesn't actually do much?
Oh, no, it definitely does do something, and I think you do need to give drivers the opportunity in non-tyre blanket categories to try and get some heat into the tyres. So obviously there was a bit of fuss around Waters and Matt Payne and that sort of stuff, but it's not actually a regular sort of issue.
Yep. I don't know. I see it in Formula One and I think, why is that allowed just because you've come out of pits? The TV coverage needs both Crail and Nolte. I mean, if it's possible, AVL, Matt Nolte did a big week, did a big job on the weekend.
But it will happen. Like Nolts is, let's say that they say to Richard, right, you're now the lead caller for supercars. Nolts is still going to play a big role in the broadcast through support categories and this and that. And it's all of these guys will be utilised in some way, shape, or form. And I think we have got a pretty good lens now on what their strengths are, and it's all pretty exciting, to be honest.
I agree. I totally agree, mate. And I think it's been a really good revelation. It's fresh, and it's new, and it sounds good, especially with Crail and Nolte. It's a split air between the two of them.
Yeah.
Anton is an A-grade driver. I think on the weekend we've seen that if he's not, he's a Mickey hair from it.
It's no, I think he definitely is. I think we need to see more of it, but I think Anton at his absolute best is absolutely fantastic.
I had changed that one because I did say Anton de Pasquale is too nice to be a number one driver in a team, but I changed it. Green and white checkers, I think everyone was calling for that on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's one of those things that sounds incredibly more simple than it is to implement, but fundamentally as a statement, yes, we should have it.
Grove should relax about trying to keep Payne and worry about Allen. Well, I think they pretty much have given up on Payne after anyway, so they may as well concentrate on Allen.
Well, and they've locked Kai into a long-term deal, so I said credit because this is effectively exactly what's happened.
And Mark Skate should take the credit for motivating Team 18.
Yeah, well, Charlie was, there was an aura of Schadenfreude around Charlie yesterday afternoon, let me tell you that. I interviewed him after the race, and I didn't say anything about Scafey or anything like that, and straight away that was the first name that came out of his mouth. He was pretty keen to clap back at those comments from Mark. So, making the use of his time in the sun there, Charlie, and you love to see it.
Knowing Scafey, he'll invoice them for it. So they might want to check their mail. All right, our Whisper of the Week. I didn't know where to put this in. We'll talk about it after.
I think I know where this is going.
Which high-profile manager or upper manager of a team was spotted late on Saturday night supporting local Darwin artists, namely local dancers, AVL?
I wouldn't know anything. I wouldn't have a clue.
We got
nothing to do with me.
Got two letters of the week. I've got a short one and a long one. This is the short one. I'd love to know what you think about this. This is from Chris Gray. Should Ferrari focus on Hamilton's season as he has had an opportunity to win the championship and make Charles the second driver for the year?
They're not going to do that.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They risk Charles looking at every way out of his contract if they did that.
Well, we have a fighter jet, by the way. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear it, mate.
Yeah, great. All right, leave that in.
Yep. And our second letter comes from Discord. It comes from a guy named JB, and he says, question of the week, and he's written an essay, so stick with me. Is switching to Ford the worst strategic decision in Triple Eight history? He says the competitive advantage has evaporated. They were the lead Chev team. They're now no longer the lead Ford team. They're now building the best car for their competitors. Under Chevrolet, Triple Eight's work often flowed disproportionately to their own benefit. Under Ford, every gain they make is in homologation, and development potentially strengthens multiple front-running rivals. Other negatives for it, loss of customer team data. The financial argument may not stack up. Ford was reportedly lucrative, but Triple Eight has also lost customer supply revenue. And finally, Ford needed Triple Eight more than Triple Eight needed Ford. Now, the case to say that they should have come to Ford was Ford reportedly offered substantial factory backing. Triple Eight now has direct influence over the largest manufacturer fan base in supercars. The move may future-proof the business if GM's commitment to supercars weakens. It's still early. Championships ultimately determine whether the decision was right. What do you reckon? Was it a good move or a bad move at this point, from what we can tell?
The issue with the argument is that it's impossible to tell beyond on-track results because we don't understand exactly what the business case for it is. What I will say, like, I certainly think in terms of on-track performance, I think the transition is proving tougher than anyone expected. And I would reckon in their quieter moments, Triple Eight would also be thinking this is harder than we thought it was going to be.
Yep.
But I have no doubt the business case does stack up just fine. And you got to think about the ownership group there. Obviously, we kind of see Jamie Whincup as the figurehead, and he has this incredible motorsport background, and he's the managing director of the business. But you've got an ownership group that, as well as Jamie Whincup, includes Tony Quinn, Earl Evans, and Steve Blackmore, right? Like three very, very successful and clever business people. So in terms of, what was the exact wording of this? Was it the worst strategic decision? I doubt it.
No.
I doubt it. I bet it's making sense in a whole bunch of ways, and they will ultimately find the on-track performance. You'd be nuts to bet against them doing that. So I don't think that's a long-term issue. I think over time they're going to win championships. You're not going to sit there and go, these guys are never going to be able to beat Groves or DJR or Tickford or whatever. Of course, they definitely are going to do that. There's every chance Brock walks away with a big trophy at the end of this season. But in terms of a wider business strategy, I'm going to guess there's a whole bunch of reasons why it makes a lot of sense, because otherwise you wouldn't have had, very wealthy because of their business success, people like TQ, Earl and Steve going, let's go and do this thing. So, it's impossible to speak to exactly what they all are, because unless you're a board member or, you're part of the inner sanctum, you'd never know. But it'll make sense. I'd be amazed if it doesn't.
I was going to say, there's no way a bloke named Former Legend is going to be questioning the business acumen of those blokes. So if they say
you didn't join the chairman's club for a 25 grand a year on a 3-year commitment.
Nah, I missed out on that opportunity, unfortunately.
Bummer.
Had to put petrol in the car. And the other thing too is, which I think JB actually touched on, is that the longevity of Chev being in the sport is always going to be not concreted down, put it that way. Whereas I think Ford will at least be the last man standing. So I think
you actually don't know that. It takes one management change. Ford's incredibly well protected at the moment by the fact that Jim Farley, the global CEO, just loves motorsport. Competes, does it, loves it. But, it doesn't take much to change. It wasn't that long ago Ford weren't putting any money into it.
Yeah.
In 2017, they weren't putting any money into it. So things do change very quickly. So you can never bank on that in any way, because it just takes one change of leadership and someone who has a different lens on what they think is effective marketing and effective spend. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. I don't think that's a major issue, but certainly at the moment, Ford is the brand globally that is just going absolutely nuts on spending money on motorsport.
Yep. All right, mate. That'll about do us for this episode of Full Credit of the Noise. Don't forget, you can find the show on all the socials at FCTTN Podcast. You can read AVL's excellent work at speedcafe.com, where they do break all the big motorsport news first. Until next time, I've been Former Legend. He's been AVL. This has been Full Credit of the Noise, and we'll see you out on airstrip number 3 at Darwin in about 10 minutes' time.
Actually, I'm going to the sailing club.
Are you?
Yep, sure am. See you there.
All right, well, let's go there. We'll see you there.